Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about fraction decimal percent conversion. Now, most of the time we would not do this all in one lesson, but this is just kind of a quick overview. But before we start, you need to pause the video and print off this page right here. Okay, so have your teacher, or if you're at home, or if not, you can draw it. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, you can draw it. If we were in the class, I'd have you draw it. So just draw arrows, and you can pause it and look at it and draw it, because we're going to write on that. Okay, you don't have to print off this first page unless you really want to. We're just going to write it on the back of this page. Okay, so I'm going to do some examples on this page, and then we're going to write the rules on this page. Okay, so fraction decimal percent conversion, we learned last week that they're all the same. Okay, so it kind of like how my name's Jamie, but my students call me Mrs. Boyd, and my kids call me Mom. I'm the same person, I'm just called three different things. Okay, same with fraction decimal percent. It's the same, it's just represented in three different ways. So don't look at this and get stressed out. We're just going to go step by step. So D to P means decimal to percent. I was just trying to be short. Okay, so we're going to go decimal to percent. So write this on the back of that sheet, or if you printed this sheet off, that's fine as well. Or you can just write it on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to do some examples. So fraction to decimal to percent. So how you do that, if you have 0.25, you're going to multiply it. You're going to multiply it by 100. When you multiply something by 100, you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. Okay, if that confuses you, just multiply by 100. In your calculator, put 0.25 times 100, or do it off to the side. But you can also just move the decimal 2 places to the right, and that's going to give us 25%. Okay? This one, 0.3 times 100, or move our decimal 2 places to the right. You're going to have to add a 0, and now it becomes 30%. 0.345, we move it over 2 places, or multiply by 100, whatever makes sense to you. So it's 34.5%. It's okay to have a decimal in your percent. It's okay. 4.75 multiplied by 100, or move the decimal 2 places, is 475%. Now you learned that percents are always out of 100, but it's okay for a percent to be over 100. Okay? If you got extra credit on a quiz, or in the business world a lot, things are over 100%. So go down here. So we're going to break it up a little bit, where it says decimal to fraction. So we're going to use this arrow, decimal to fraction. I'm sorry, it's not decimal to fraction, decimal to percent, decimal to percent. So you start here, and you're going to say, you're going to multiply by 100, and you maybe put in parentheses, move decimal 2 places right. So then you have both of them. Whichever one makes sense to you is what you'll use. So pause this video if you need to in order to write that down. Okay, now we're going to do percent to decimal. So it's the opposite. So instead of multiplying by 100, we're now going to divide by 100. I was taught once that you see the percent sign is just a division sign turned on its side. Okay, so when you see that, you're going to divide. Okay, so 34% divided by 100, or whenever you have a whole number, the decimal's on the right. It's at the end, the right end. And we're going to move it 2 places to the left. So our answer is going to be 0.34, or just 34. Okay? So 98% divided by 100. So you would just do 98 divided by 100. Again, our decimal is to the right, and we move it 2 places to the left. And I just like to put a 0 in there. You don't have to. 0.98. You could just put 0.98. So this is 98 hundredths. Now 4%, so 4 divided by 100. Again, we have our decimal. We have to move it 2 places. So we have to add this 0 in right here. So 0.04. And if you put this in your calculator, that's what it'll show. All right. Now this one tends to confuse people, but you still stick with it. Divide by 100. So 0.5 or 0.5%, we move it 2 places to the left. That means we have to add in that 0. We can put 1 at the end too. So 0.005 would be that decimal. Okay. So we're going to come down here. So from percent to decimal, we're going to divide by 100 or move decimal 2 places. I know my handwriting is hard to read. Left. I'm getting used to this new pen and pad I have. Okay, so pause that if you need to. Pause that if you need to. Okay? Then we come back up here. I'm going to erase a little bit of this so I have room. Okay? We'll just erase all of that so we can kind of see what's going on there. Okay, and I'll kind of move it up so it's not in our way. So now we're going to go fraction to decimal. Fraction to decimal. So let's say we have 2 fifths. 2 fifths. So this you will divide 2, because remember fractions are just division problems. So 2 divided by 5, which gives you 0.4. You just divide numerator divided by denominator. Numerator divided by denominator. So let's say, in some you may already know, 1/2. If you know what that is already, just write it. If not, do 1 divided by 2 in your calculator, and you should get 0.5. Now, what if it's 1/3? Put that in your calculator. You should get 0.33333333. Okay, so what you do when it's repeating is you put a line over what's repeated. So you could put it like that. You could put 0.3 just once. Sorry, my dishwasher's running. Hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, you can put really as many as you want as long as you put the line over what is being repeated. Okay? So down here, now if it is a mixed number, so 1 and let's say 1 2 fifths, then instead of this 0 here, you would just put the 1 there, and then you do 2 divided by 5, so it'd be 1.4. If this was 4 1/2, then it would be 4.5. If this was 8 1/3, then it would be 8.3. Just move it in front to the left of the decimal. Okay? Now, let me move it down here. So we went from what? Fraction to decimal. Okay? So you're going to do divide, numerator, divided by denominator. Okay, and pause that if you need to. Pause that if you need to. All right. So, the next thing is decimal to fraction. Decimal to fraction. This one tends to give people some trouble. So decimal to fraction is you're going to put it, remember how we talked about how to say something? This isn't really 0.25, it's 25 hundredths. So you would put 25 over 100 because it's 25 hundredths. Then you're going to simplify. So 25 goes into both of those. If you don't remember that 25 goes into that, you can divide them both by 5 twice. Okay. So this is 4/10. So we put 4 over 10, divide by 2, 2/5. Okay, so you remember you have to simplify. So this one right here is 11 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 11 thousandths, and now 11 is prime, and it won't go into 1,000, so we're done there. Okay, this is 1 and 22 hundredths. So 1 and then 22 hundredths. You put the 1 in front. And then we can divide this by 2 and get 1 and 11 fiftieths. Okay? So, come down here, decimal to fraction. So this way, you remove decimal, and put over place value. That's why it's important to have those examples so you know what I'm talking about there. Okay, now going back up, now we're going to do percent to fraction. So remember, we've said that percents are always out of 100. Always, always, always. It doesn't matter if it's bigger than 100 or less than 100. It's always out of 100. So you're going to put the 45 over 100, always over 100. And then we're going to simplify. So divide by 5. So we have 9 over 20. So 9/20. Okay. This one right here, 23 over 100. 23 is prime. So, and 23 won't go into 100, so you're done. This one, 5 over 100. Remember, it doesn't matter what this number is. You take away the percent and you put just the number, the 5, and it's always over 100. And then we can simplify it because 5 will go into 5 and 100. 5 goes into 120 times, so it'll be 1/20. 13% would be 13 over 100, and 13 is prime, so we're done because 13 won't go into 100. Okay, so down here, I'm running out of time. I only have 15 minutes to make the video. So percent to fraction, I gotta move my thing. So percent to fraction is remove percent, percent sign, and put over 100. I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in because we're running short on time. Fraction to percent, you're going to divide numerator divided by denominator and then multiply by 100. We'll use this a lot because it's how you figure out your grades. If you got a 4 out of 5 on a quiz, then you can figure out your percent. So let's do one real quick. I have about a minute to do one. So fraction to percent, let's say you got a 4 out of 5 on a quiz. So we're going to do 4 divided by 5, which is 80 or 0.8. And then we're going to multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that's going to be an 80%. Okay, if you got 20 out of 30 correct on a quiz, you would do 20 divided by 30. And that's a repeating decimal, so it would be 0.66666. Okay, repeating. So if we move the decimal, it'd be 66.6 repeating percent, or you maybe round that, depends on what your teacher wants. And that's it.